Hola, soy Juan G y esto es Habitación Sonora. En el último vídeo que subí, que por cierto parece que ha gustado bastante, el gran pianista y docente Galper nos daba una lección sobre la importancia de la actitud. Más concretamente nos hablaba de la diferencia del estado mental o actitud que debemos tener ante tocar respecto al que tenemos ante estudiar. Resumiendo mucho su charla, venía a decirnos que cuando tocamos, cuando interpretamos en directo ante un público, debemos apagar la parte consciente y dejarnos llevar únicamente por la parte inconsciente, aunque la parte consciente también tenga cierto manejo e importancia. Y esto me recordó a otra charla impresionante, esta vez del gran Gary Burton. Gary Burton, para el que no lo conozca, pues es uno de los vibrafonistas más importantes de la historia del jazz y además pues también es conocido por ser un gran docente. Bueno, enseñó, como quien dice, a Pat Metheny y bueno, es una leyenda viva del jazz actualmente. He seleccionado tan solo unos minutos de una charla que dura unas 2 horas y que por supuesto os recomiendo que la veáis entera si entendéis inglés porque es increíble, es interesantísima. Sin más, pasamos al vídeo, sin antes recordaros que si no estáis suscritos al canal y os interesa este contenido, por favor lo hagáis, que es totalmente gratis, y activéis las notificaciones. También quiero que sepáis que podéis conseguir mis manuales, estrategias y herramientas para la práctica técnica y creatividad en la guitarra por un precio muy reducido, siguiendo las instrucciones que os dejo en la descripción.
The unconscious is taking care of feeding you the melodic lines. And the conscious mind, one of the jobs it has while we're playing is to kind of hold on to that emotional state that we've decided the tune belongs in. Just like an actor doing their part holds on to that character state that they have to be in. There's nothing more disappointing to me than hearing a band play a really interesting song, and they get to the end of the melody chorus, and I'm anxious to see what they're going to do with this really unusual tune. And then they forget the tune and this bebop from then on. Plain old cliche lines that sound like a million other tunes. And I go, wow, what happened to this great, interesting tune that you started out with? If the tune is interesting enough to play, then it's interesting enough to stay with when you solo on it. And part of what allows you to solo in that character is if you keep focusing consciously on this is the feel of this song, that sends an instruction to your unconscious to give you musical sentences that match that emotional state. This is maybe I should talk about this a little bit here. Where's the eraser? Oh, here. When we start learning music, start learning music, at first, everything we learn is a conscious thing. The teacher tells us, here's the fingering for this note. Okay, we got it. There it is, it's a B flat, okay. So it's all conscious. Very quickly, things start becoming automated. We no longer have to check the fingering to do a B flat. Our fingers will go right to it very quickly. So pretty soon, fingerings, knowledge of scales, etc., start to move from the conscious to the unconscious, so that we're soon able to sight read at tempo, easy pieces, without having to stop and think, how do we play the G, or if it's a little round circle with a step, it's 2 beats, it's called a half note. We don't stop and think about those things anymore. We know them intuitively now because they've moved from the conscious side over to the unconscious. As we get further along, more and more stuff that we're learning. We're now improvisers, we're talking chords and chord scales and things that tune structures and so on. More and more of this comes over into the unconscious, till eventually everything is over here, pretty much. What's left is the one thing I mentioned before, picturing the feel or the state, emotional state of the tune. And it has another job, being a critic, but let's come back and talk about that in a second. This unconscious stuff over here it's nice to think of it as having a dual purpose. One part of this unconscious is like a filing cabinet. All this information, this is one of the marvelous things about it. All this information that we've learned from studying music, from playing music, from listening to records, is stored over here in little bits and pieces. And your brain has a way, it knows how to combine those bits and pieces into logical things, not just random combinations, which wouldn't make any sense melodically. It has a sense for how to combine them into a musical sentence, just like our brain does this with words, so that we don't speak in gibberish. It puts the words in the right order and sends it out, you know, to us to speak. So one part is this, the miracle filing cabinet. The other part is sort of your personality. This part doesn't change much, and it only changes gradually. Style, the way we play, the same about the way we talk. Everybody's voice and way of speaking is a little bit unique, which is why when a friend of yours calls you on the phone, you know who it is within the first couple of words they say. They say your name. Hey, Gary. Oh, I know, it's Steve. You know, even a little bit of sound will tell you if it's somebody you know well. And yet there are millions and millions, billions of people in the world, and yet we all are a little bit unique from each other in the way we talk and sound. Why that happens, I'm not sure, but that's something that is a fixed thing about us. It may change gradually over time. If I move to New Orleans, I'll probably, you know, gradually get a different accent than the one I've had, but it doesn't happen suddenly. So you as a player also have the same kind of thing. A style develops. Some people have a very obviously unique kind of style, just as some people have a very unusual way of talking and are even more identifiable. But even if you're not that unusual, still, you know, your people who listen to you play on a regular basis will identify your playing, you know, quite easily, because they'll recognize your little collection of idiosyncrasies and certain things that you do. So we've got these two things over here in the filing cabinet, in the unconscious, and they are working together to send over what we're going to play, these melodic phrases that are coming out of this part of our brain into the conscious. Now, I don't know if you've had this experience. See if you have. You're playing along, it's a familiar tune, you know the chords, you're comfortable, you're having a good time with your friends, and for a moment, you played something you didn't expect to play, you didn't see it coming, and it was a really cool lick that you just played, and it kind of, ooh, wow, what was that? Does that sound familiar? Have you had that happen? Okay. What's going on there is, one of the last things the conscious guy over here gives up doing, I mean, all this other stuff he's handed over to the unconscious. But the one thing he still keeps doing is he acts as a gatekeeper. That is, wants to see what you're going to play, at least for a second or two before you play it, to make sure it's okay. He's not too confident that he can trust the inner player yet. But this guy gets relaxed now and then, gets casual. You know, it's feeling good. I'm thinking about some other things, and the thing goes right to the instrument, bypasses the unconscious mind. And when that happens, you feel like, whoa, I didn't see that coming, and it feels like I'm out of control a little bit, and your first instinct is to get back in control, because that was kind of scary. Although, you'll admit that it was probably the hippest thing you played all night, was that particular lick, and it really felt good when you played it. So this started happening to me when I was about 17 years old. I still remember I was just starting school and sitting in a lot at a club, and the first couple of times it happened, I thought, did I imagine that? It was something like deja vu or something? Or was that something that you know, I thought happened, or did something real happen, or what's going on. The more it happened, the more comfortable I got with it, and I began to feel like, okay, go ahead, you know, just play, let it play. And now when I start to play, I sort of take a mental step backward in a way, and I start watching the playing. As soon as I start a tune, I'm just watching the playing go down as if someone else is playing, and my conscious mind is disengaged from choosing notes and all that sort of thing. So I now have other things for the conscious mind to do. Picturing the feel of the tune and acting as a critic. I talk to this guy in there. I don't say, you know, play an A and a C on the A minor chord that's coming up and make 2 eighth notes and this and that. I don't give him instructions that way. I say, this is really getting boring. You better do something more interesting than this. Or this is so busy nobody can follow it. You know, what's going on here? I talk to the inner players. I'm watching it play, giving critique, so to speak. And a lot of times I don't think about the music at all. You may have noticed that in your playing. When you're soloing away and the hands are moving and the lines are coming out and everything, and I'm thinking about the plane I have to catch tomorrow, or that hat that the second row is wearing that looks really silly, or whatever. And the rule is, the conscious mind can do anything it wants to, except get in the way. You can think about random stuff, you can watch the music happen, you can concentrate on the tune, feel, and so on, but you can't interfere with the flow. And in fact, the conscious mind tends to do this. It'll drift in and out. Somebody will do something in the band, my attention will, oh, that was interesting. Oh, the drummer is messed up again, Jesus. You know, your mind is thinking about those kinds of things. All the time, you're still playing. That's the state that you get to as you become fluent, the way if you're fluent in language and can speak, you know, comfortably about anything and everything. This is fluency for the improviser.
Pues nada, hasta aquí llegamos y me gustaría conocer si este tipo de temas os parece tan interesante como a mí, todo lo relacionado con los procesos mentales que hay detrás del aprendizaje y más concretamente detrás del aprendizaje de la música y de la improvisación. Espero leer vuestros comentarios y os mando un gran abrazo.